You've seen this, right? If you ever walked through a market in South Asia, or maybe seen it dangling from a taxi's rearview mirror, this simple string of green chilies and a lemon. It's called a Nimbu Mirchi, and it is literally everywhere. But what is it actually for? Well, let's get into it.
So, the common belief is that this little thing is a shield against the nasty force called the evil eye. But what if I told you its true purpose was way more practical? What if its origins have nothing to do with metaphysics and everything to do with some simple, brilliant pest control? Let's unravel the real story. To figure out where this all came from, we've got to start with what millions of people believe it does today. And that story, well, it begins with a very old and very powerful idea.
At the very heart of this is the belief in Nazar, or the evil eye. It's this idea that a single glance, one that's filled with envy or malice, can actually cause you harm. We're talking bad luck, sickness, even financial trouble. The Nimbu Mirchi is seen as a kind of spiritual bodyguard, a Nazar batu, built specifically to stop that threat in its tracks.
Okay, so how is it supposed to work? The idea is that the super sharp, sour taste of the lemon and the fiery heat of the chilies are just so potent, they completely distract the evil eye. It's almost like they satisfy its hunger for bad vibes, absorbing all that negative energy before it ever gets to the person or the place it's supposed to be protecting. But now, we're going to take a hard turn, because the historical evidence, it points to a completely different story, one that's way more scientific. Turns out, the original purpose of this little string had nothing to do with spirits, and absolutely everything to do with bugs. And here's where you can see the two ideas side by side. On one hand, you have the popular belief it's a metaphysical shield. But on the other, science reveals it as a simple, do-it-yourself pest control device. This was never about protecting the soul, it was about protecting your stuff, your food, your goods, from spoiling or getting infested, especially in hot, humid weather.
The chemistry behind it is actually surprisingly simple, but it's brilliant. The capsaicin in the chilies, that's the stuff that makes them spicy, it acts as a neurotoxin to a lot of common pests. Then you've got the lemon, which releases citric acid and these powerful oils like limonene from its peel, also great in insect repellents. You hang them together, and what you get is a cheap, totally organic, and really effective little pest diffuser.
And this quote from anthropologist Dr. S. Verma just nails it. This wasn't a prayer, it was a piece of tech born out of the needs of farmers and merchants. For a shopkeeper, keeping insects away from their food wasn't a small thing, it was about survival. This was their first line of defense. Okay, so if it was just a simple bug repellent, how in the world did it become a huge symbol for warding off evil? This is where the story gets really fascinating, because it reveals how cultural memory can just fade away. It really comes down to three big forces working together. First, you have cultural amnesia. As generations moved away from farming, people kept doing the practice, hanging the string, but they forgot the scientific reason why. This left a vacuum, right? And that vacuum was filled by things that were already there: widespread folk beliefs about the evil eye, and that universal human need to feel safe and protected. You can actually watch it happen over the centuries on this timeline. What starts back in the 15th century as just practical science slowly loses its why over the next couple hundred years. By the 18th century, it's pretty much merged completely with the Nazar beliefs. And that brings us to today, a widespread ritual with scientific roots that have been almost entirely forgotten. And the scale of this transformation, it's just staggering. What started as a local practical tool for merchants is now a cultural ritual for an estimated 300 million people all across the South Asian diaspora. A piece of technology literally evolved into a powerful belief. But what if I told you there's one final piece of evidence, a kind of smoking gun, hiding in plain sight within the ritual itself that proves its scientific origin beyond a shadow of a doubt?
The clue is in a really simple question. Why does it have to be replaced every week, or as soon as the lemon and chilies shrivel up? Think about it. If its job was to absorb evil energy, wouldn't a dried out one be proof that it, worked? Why would its physical condition matter at all?
The answer is pure chemistry. It's simple. A fresh lemon and chili string is packed with those volatile oils and pungent smells, which gives it a high chemical efficacy as a pest repellent. But when it's all dried out, those compounds are gone. It doesn't smell anymore, so it has zero chemical efficacy. The ritual of replacing the string isn't some kind of spiritual renewal, it's just the maintenance schedule for a biological bug repellent that's expired. I love this metaphor of a ghost practice. It captures it perfectly.
The original reason for doing it, the spirit, is gone. But the action itself, the body, it just keeps going, moving out of pure cultural habit. We're still doing the steps, even though we've completely forgotten the original dance.
So, the next time you see a Nimbu Mirchi, maybe don't just write it off as a superstition. See it for what it really is. It's not a prayer made out of produce. It's a quiet monument to some really clever, practical, ancient human ingenuity. A solution that works so well, it actually outlived its own explanation.
And this really brings us to one last crucial question. The Nimbu Mirchi is just one example. What other rituals, traditions, and beliefs that we see every single day are actually just echoes of forgotten science, hiding right there in plain sight?